Hi guys, welcome back to Battle with Ola. This is Mujala Olua, that's where the Ola is from. Come with me today to a Nigerian courtroom. A Nigerian courtroom typically looks the same or similar one to the other across the country, but there are just some slight structural differences or arrangement differences. So today I'm taking you to a Nigerian courtroom, a high court room, and then a magistrate court in southwest Nigeria to show you the most important features that must be as a matter of compulsion and necessity in every courtroom, although the arrangements might differ. So here's an high court room. Before us, when you enter an high court room, you will most likely be facing the judge's seat from the entrance. So I'm standing at the entrance of this court. I'm moving towards the front, and directly in front of me is the court seat. In a high court in Nigeria, only one judge sits per courtroom, and so that's the judge seat. It comes out of his office from the right, and then he may or may not exit as he may please from the left. But usually when he sits, he comes out of the right, he goes back into the right because that's where his office is. But he also has an exit and entrance point on the left, and that's why there's a door by the left just beside the flag. Also, you would have directly in front of him in a lower position because the judge's seat is usually elevated, and that's good for visibility and it's good for audibility. So you have the registrar's seat in front of the judge, in front of my lord. Usually there are 2 to 3 registrars in a courtroom. One person will be reading out the court list, that is mentioning the cases one after the other, while another person would be arranging the files and passing them to the judge as the need may arise, or collecting files back from the judge after each case. The third person is usually there to swear witnesses on oath. So everyone has their usefulness, and usually when the judge needs to do something quickly outside of the courtroom or get something from his office while sitting, he would motion to either or any of them rather, and they would do that for him because he cannot just stand up at will except he rises, which would mean that the proceeding would be paused or ended. Now, to the judge's right, which is to the left of the viewer here, we have the witness box. The witness box is a very crucial part of every courtroom because testimony in court proceedings are taken both documentarily and orally. So for oral testimony, there must be witnesses, and they are usually put in the witness box. So they are called upon when it's time, put in the witness box, and then one of the registrars will swear them on oath in their appropriate religion with the appropriate holy book or method, and the case would proceed. They will give their testimony. Usually or sometimes there's a seat in the witness box for witnesses who may need to sit if they are giving a prolonged testimony or the proceedings are elongated. Now to the judge's left, which would be to the viewer's right, is a seat which in this particular court is used to sit accused persons, defendants in criminal matters. So whenever there's a criminal case and you come to this particular court, that seat would be the one allocated rather to defendants, people brought from different prison facilities, so they sit there. Now, when we proceed, the lawyers directly face the court. That is, they face the judge, they face the registrars. So there are 2 pews. I'm in the midst of the pews, and that's where the lawyers sit in this particular court, which is typical of most courts in Nigeria. So the lawyers sit and they face the court. So you should also note that the first pew sits the senior advocates of Nigeria. That's the law in Nigeria, the rule rather, not the law, the rule by right of privilege. If there's a senior advocate in any Nigerian court, they sit on the first pew. the first seat in any group of seats allocated to lawyers in that court. So lawyers sit on these pews, facing the court, facing the witness, facing the registrars, facing the defendants, so to speak. And if there are interns or friends of the court, amicus curiae, they would usually sit on these seats by the side, which you can see. Or if there's a spillover of defendants, they also sit there. Now we have the dock. This box behind the lawyers is called the dock. That's where the accused persons, the defendants, are placed when their matter is called. So they are usually placed in this box unfettered. That's the rule. They are placed there unfettered to answer the case against them. So if they are ailing from whatever ailment or it's a prolonged proceeding, the court or the judge may allow them seats. That's why they say sit in the dock. Now, these back pews are for the court audience. That is, people who have come to court, litigants, their friends, their sympathizers. This is where they sit. So usually they take the back seat in most courts. And it's good for orderliness. It's good for decorum. And then we have the door. So this is most likely what a high courtroom in Nigeria contains. This extra seat usually sits litigants as well. But sometimes if there's a spillover of lawyers, they may sit there. So this is what a Nigerian courtroom typically looks like. But if you go to any high courtroom in Nigeria, there must be the judge's seat, the registrar's seat, the witness box, the dock, and the lawyer's seat, as well as a place to sit defendants and litigants. Very important. Also, judges have orderlies, police orderlies. They would usually sit, somewhere in front, close enough to the court, close enough to the judge for safety purposes. Now let's go to a magistrate courtroom in Nigeria. It's a court of summary jurisdiction, and so usually the physical structure arrangement is summary, if we may say that. So we have the magistrate's seat in front as well, usually central or to a side as we have it in this court because of the structural constraints, I believe. And there's a door behind the magistrate where the magistrate can exit and enter the court. There's a chair in front, which you can see. That chair belongs to the magistrate's police orderly. There's one for Milord too in the High Court, but it was not so visible from the video angle. But there's always that seat, and the police sits there, the judges or the magistrate's orderly sits there. Directly in front of the magistrate is the registrar's table and their chairs. In this court, there are usually two registrars, one swearing the witnesses on oath and one calling out the cases and handling the files to the magistrate. So it also depends on staff strength. So it could be 2, it could be 3 in any courtroom. And then we have the lawyer's seat facing the magistrate to the right and the witness box to the left. The witness box must always be in that vantage position between the lawyers and the court for audibility. And because the witness needs to face the court. The benches beside the witness box sits the defendants or accused persons in this particular court. It's not the ideal, but because of the space constraint, that's what happens. They are usually placed on these seats until it's time to hear their case, when they are called into the dock unfettered and the case can go on. There's also a table and a chair in front by the right, which sits the prosecutor. So in a magistrate court, they usually give a prosecutor a seat in front as well, by the right, to the judge's left and to the viewer's right, so that they can prosecute their matters easily and to differentiate them from other counsel in court. I don't know if there's a rationale for that, but that's just the way it's always been. And then we have the pews for the audience and the litigants. directly at the back of the lawyer's seat in this particular court. That may differ in other courts, but this is just a structural constraint also because this particular courtroom was converted from what it was before. That's why you may have also noticed that there are so many doors. Some of those doors are not routinely or ordinarily found in most courtrooms because you do not really need that many exits and entrances. So there's no rationale for the number of doors, and it's not what you would always find in every magistrate courtroom in Nigeria. But the things we have highlighted are the most important. And then behind the litigants in this particular magistrate courtroom, we have the dock, where the accused persons, the defendants, are placed to answer the case against them. Usually the dock is placed at the most convenient place where it is safe enough, far enough from the lawyers, far enough from the litigants, far enough from, the court, but in a place where everyone in the courtroom can see whoever is placed in the dock. So that's the typical arrangement of a Nigerian courtroom. You may find some slight differences depending on structural constraints, landmass constraints, and space constraints in most courtrooms across Nigeria. But the most important things that will stand out for you are the judge's seat, the registrar's seat, the witness box, the lawyer's pews, the litigant's pews, the dock, the orderly seat, of course, and in the magistrate court's case, the prosecutor's seat. So that's all I have for you in this video. I will see you in my very next video. Don't forget to subscribe, and let's continue the conversation by all means in the comment section. To-dos.